Today we're going to be talking about Pythons. No, not the snake, but the coding language. And if I think that in the current business intelligence world, a data analyst or a BI analyst needs to know Python to be successful at their job. But before we get into that, we're going to take a look at Microsoft Fabric Notebooks, which is one of the tools you can use Python in, and something that you're going to be increasingly likely to run into in an enterprise scenario. And I'm going to just kind of walk you through a really simple example. Welcome back to my video series where I motivate myself to study for the DP 600 analytics exam by putting together videos and real world applications. So let's go ahead and let's jump in to Microsoft Fabric and start exploring Python. All right, so here I am in my Microsoft Fabric workspace. I can go ahead right here and I can create a new item and I can create a data notebook. So data notebooks are originally this data science kind of concept. Started with, or at least when I first heard about notebooks in general, it was with Jupyter notebooks. And it's this idea that as you work through an analysis, you work through analysis in steps, and you essentially can break all of those steps down into individual actions or pieces of data that you want to look like. And so you put your code for those steps in cells and you kind of work your way through. With the release of Databricks, which is a big enterprise big data tool, and then now Fabric, both of which are Spark based, which Spark is an open source data processing framework. You are seeing these data notebooks appear more and more in an enterprise environment. You can typically code in a data notebook using Python, Scala, SQL, R, or T-SQL. In this case, we're going to be using Python because this video is all about Python. And when you write a cell, you can that you reference essentially the cells above. So let's take a look at how you can use Python in Microsoft Fabric to interact with a Power BI model. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the SempI Fabric module. So I'm going to go import, then I'm going to go scmpy.fabric as fabric. Now, if you are used to Python, you might be familiar with the concept of having to import modules or packages and use pip as a package manager to install all these. In this case, because this is a Fabric notebook and I'm importing a Fabric package, I don't have to run that pip statement. So here I am importing Fabric. As you can see, it's connecting to my session here, and then it's starting to run. I can, while this is working or while this is running, I can also start working down here in another cell. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Fabric to list all the workspaces in my tenant that I have access to at least. So I'm going to go list workspaces, and I'm going to run this, and you'll see it'll return all of the workspaces here. So here's all the workspaces that I currently have in my tenant. And then I can back down into this even further, and I can go fabric.list datasets, and I can either go datasets, right, and give it a name, or I can give it the dataset ID. In this case, I'm going to click into this sneaker workspace right here. So I'm going to give it the ID of the sneaker workspace. And if you're using Fabric, you could also hypothetically loop through this, right? And so here it is, it's connecting to that data set. And then I can go ahead and I can say, okay, within that data set, I have these semantic models. So then I can go down here and I can go fabric dot get measures or measures, list measures right here, and I can go data set equals, and I can say, okay, my data set that I want to reference is going to be this sales and return sample right here. And I can go I can go in here and I can say, hey, my workspace equals right here, and I can go comma, and I'll tell it that it's in the sneaker workspace, which is not where this notebook is currently operating in. It's in the developer. I can run this, and you'll see it'll go and it'll list all of the measures in that semantic model. And then finally, I can add one more cell, and I could go fabric dot evaluate measure, right? And then again, I can go ahead, and I won't bring this up. I can go ahead and I can type workspace, sneaker workspace, right? And then I can give it the name of the measure, which in this case, if I go down here and I go measure equals, and then I give it the name, and let's just say I want it to return, net sales. I can go up here, and I can grab net sales out of this right here. And if I go down, here we go, and I give it net sales, and you'll see right here, it'll go and it'll evaluate that measure. Now, this is obviously just a really quick example of Python. I'm not actually building anything in Microsoft Fabric with these notebooks, but you can see how useful this might be for a data analyst. So getting back to our question at the start of the video, do you need to know Python in order to become an effective BI or data analyst? Probably a year ago or 2 years ago, my answer would be no. I would say you really need to know a SQL tool. So that would be Power BI or Tableau. And then you need to be really good at SQL. And by really good at SQL, I mean you need to be capable of working with enterprise databases. But now that we're seeing this rise of Python in tools like Microsoft Fabric, well, I still would probably say no. I would say that it's becoming more and more useful because you now have a platform where you can write that Python and it can run in a contained enterprise environment. Where at a lot of companies, if you wrote a Python script, it would just kind of sit in Visual Studio Code or whatever you were developing in it. So if I'm hiring for a data analyst right now, is Python at the top of my list? No, it's not, but it is a nice to have. I hate to say it, but I'm probably not looking at your introductory Python analysis that you did with Pandas. While it shows familiarity with the language, there's too many YouTube tutorials that kind of walk you through them all. So I would be looking for something creative and something that shows that you're used to working in an enterprise environment. So maybe something that built on this, right? So it takes some of the code that I just used and show how you can write a Python script to map dependencies. I know Microsoft has a tutorial on that, and I might make another video, maybe tomorrow, on how to do that. But thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, or if you're interested in hearing more from me, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.